Hi, Tech Guy Charlie here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are building a new gaming PC and this will be an RGB build with Corsair RGB components like the LL120 fans and the Corsair Dominator Platinum RGB RAM. So it's gonna look pretty epic. You guys have already seen it in the intro video, right? And this is going to be an AMD powered PC, so I've got the Ryzen 7 3700X. And just so you know, nothing is free or sponsored in this video. All of the parts that I'm gonna use in this video have been bought at retail price. So if you like these kind of videos, support the channel by hitting the subscribe and the like button. And if you want any of these parts that I'm using in this video, I will put all the purchase links in the video description along with the timecode. And this is going to be a two-part series video. This video that you are watching is part 1, so in this video we're gonna build the PC, and in the part 2 series we're gonna do a follow-up and then do some gaming benchmarks. Alright, so first off, let's go over the parts one by one, starting with the CPU. For this build, I have picked out the AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. It's an 8-core, 16-thread processor with a base clock of 3.6 GHz and 4.4 GHz boost. So that's plenty of power for video editing, productivity tasks, and of course gaming. And all of this within the 65W TDP. And the 3700X also comes with the flagship Wraith Prism cooler. It's got nice RGB LED lights. So you will be pretty happy should you choose to use this instead of an aftermarket cooling solution. But for this build, we're not gonna use the stock cooler. So back inside the box it goes, and for this build we are going to use the Corsair iCue H100i RGB Pro XT liquid cooler. This one has a 240mm radiator, accommodates 2 fans, and this should be more than sufficient to keep that 65W TDP CPU running nice and cool even during intense gaming and video rendering sessions. And it's got beautiful RGB LED lights on the pump block. And one of the reasons that I'm going with Corsair is the integration with their iCue software. Everything just comes together quite nicely. Now you may ask, why the 3rd gen Ryzen? Why not Ryzen 5000? Well, the answer is simple. At the time of filming this video, that is in December 2020, Ryzen 5000 series is not available anywhere, and the retailers, those who have it in stock, are selling them at a premium. So that's why I settled for the 3rd gen Ryzen, not the Ryzen 5000. Yeah, I know that sucks, but I really can't do anything about it. So it is what it is. The processor will be paired with 32 gigs of Corsair's Dominator Platinum RGB RAM. I've bought two 16GB kits, so that's a total of 4 8GB RAM sticks, making it a total of 32 gigs. And these are CL15 kits, so that's pretty tight timing on these. And 32 gigs on a gaming PC is a bit of an overkill, but since we also want to occasionally edit 4K videos, we're gonna go with 32 gigs. Plus these also have ultra bright, individually addressable Corsair Capellax LEDs. For storage, we've got a 1TB WD Blue M.2 NVMe, which should be plenty of storage for Windows and other software on this PC. But the original plan was to add a 4TB mechanical hard drive along with the NVMe for games, but that will happen next month. This is because we ran short on our budget and spent more on the RGB fans. So for now, 1TB NVMe will have to do. Now coming to the juicy bit, the graphics card, the heart of every gaming PC. So for this build, we are going to use the Nvidia RTX 3070, and this is the AORUS Master 3070 from Gigabyte. So this is the card that has a small color LCD screen that shows you GPU stats like temperature, fan speed, etc, etc. I've done a full in-depth review of this card, so if you are interested, you might want to check that out first. I will put the link in the video description and also link it in the top right hand side corner card. Anyways, this card has enough power to give you a decent 4K gaming experience. Although if you want to game at 4K, then you might want to go with the 3080 or the 3090. But I think the RTX 3070 is in that sweet spot, gives you a good balance between good performance and value. The motherboard is a Gigabyte B550 AORUS Pro AC. AC, that means it's got Wi-Fi. this is an ATX form factor board, and look at that beefy heatsink on the VRMs. I bet you this board can handle a 12-core CPU no problem. And the thing is guys, you don't really need an X570 board unless you are planning on installing multiple M.2 drives and multiple PCIe cards. For majority of people, B550 is more than enough. And looking at the board in more detail, we have two M.2 slots. It's got RGB on the VRM heatsink and on the part which separates the audio components from the rest of the motherboard. And speaking of RGB, this board uses RGB Fusion 2.0 and you have two addressable LED headers on the motherboard down over here. So that will let you connect an addressable RGB LED strip. Taking a look at the rear I/O, starting from the left to right, we've got 6 USB 2.0 ports, Wi-Fi antenna connector, HDMI out, 3 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, blue and the white ones, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, the red ones, and 1 USB Type-C port with USB 3.2 Gen 2 support. Then we have got 2.5 GB E-LAN port, and finally optical audio and 5 audio jacks. And lastly, if you haven't noticed, the I/O shield comes pre-installed on this motherboard. So there is plenty of I/O on this motherboard, definitely not at the level of an X570 board, but it's more than enough for a gaming rig. And lastly, this being a B550 board, there is no chipset cooling fan, which is great. So all said and done, this is a really nice, well-built motherboard. I like it. And this gaming PC will be powered by the Corsair RM650 power supply. This is a 650 watt, fully modular, 80 plus gold power supply. It's also got 0 RPM fan mode for complete silence. And it also comes with 10-year warranty. Sweet. And we will be using aftermarket cables. I think these look a lot better than the ones that are already supplied with the power supply. And I've picked out the black and yellow theme, which I think will look quite nice once it is installed in the computer. And finally, the case that I've picked out is the Corsair iCue 460X RGB. It's a mid-tower case with tempered glass on the front and on the side, so that you can show off your beautiful RGB build. This case also comes with Corsair's lighting node core pre-installed, and it works with almost every Corsair addressable RGB fans. And speaking of fans, this case has 3 Corsair SP120 fans pre-installed on the front. We will be swapping them out for Corsair's LL120s. And I will also add 3 exhausts, 2 at the top and 1 at the rear. So for this, I have bought 6 individual packs of Corsair's LL120 fans, and I'm just gonna unbox one of them in this video. But you may ask, why not the 3-in-1 pack? Well, because it is cheaper to buy 6 individual packs rather than the 2-pack of 3-in-1 kit. This is because the 3-in-1 kit also comes with the Lighting Node Pro and the RGB fan hub. Now, usually you would need these, but since our case already has a Lighting Node core pre-installed, these become unnecessary and increases the overall cost. And I've already got LL120s in my personal rig and they look gorgeous. Anyways, let's prep the motherboard and we shall take it from there. Alright, so we have made some progress. The motherboard is now installed, so is the power supply. And finally, everything is now coming together. Now, as for the AIO radiator, I tried mounting this thing over here at the top, but unfortunately this RAM is just too big. So this is not one of those low profile RAM. You can see the RAM extends quite a bit. So I think what I'm gonna do is mount this radiator over here in the front, just like I've done on my PC. And I think it will be pretty nice. This is the intake of the computer, so nice cold air will come in. And on the top, we will have two exhausts and one exhaust at the rear. So yeah, let me install the radiator and the fans and we will take it from there. Alright, so there we go. All of the fans are now installed. 3 intakes on the front, 2 exhausts at the top and 1 at the back. So now I have to go through the painstaking task of connecting all the wires at the back and then later on cable managing everything. And finally at the end of the video we will install the graphics card. Alright, so here it is, the finished product. Now my cable management is not perfect by any means. I mean, look at that mess over there. But one thing I have noticed is that there are a ton of cables coming from the fans. I mean, each fan has 2 cables, so that's a total of 12 wires coming from the fans. 6 of them go into the lighting node core, 4 fan cables are going to the motherboard fan headers, and 2 of them are connected to the AIO header. So yeah, tons of fan cables on this case. If you weren't using RGB, you won't have this, so it would look a lot tidier. But since we want RGB, I'm gonna keep the lighting node core. Anyways, one change that we will make in the near future is that we will be adding a 4TB hard drive. So that cage is still over there. But yeah, all said and done, the cable management looks okay. And now I'm gonna close this side and then we will flip the case and turn the computer on and see if it posts. Alright, so I've got the keyboard, mouse and the TV hooked up to the computer. Let's power this thing on for the very first time and see if it posts. Now, one thing I have noticed is that after flicking the power switch on the power supply on, this LED came on. So I'm not sure if it's a feature or what, but anyways, let's power this thing up and see if it posts. Well, RGB comes right up. Man, those LEDs are bright. And something happened. Hey, there you go. So yes, this motherboard is perfectly fine. So yeah, let's go ahead and install Windows on this and shall take it from there. It says reboot and select proper boot device. So everything seems to be working okay. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of the part 1 of this video. Stay tuned for part 2. And in the part 2, I'm gonna talk about the issues that I've encountered with this build. And most importantly, we're gonna do some gaming benchmarks. So yeah guys, stay tuned for more videos like these. And if you've enjoyed, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button. It does help out a lot. So thanks for watching, stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.